Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce. To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Today is Memorial Day 193, and our call-in number is 646-200-4169. If you want to talk to Michael, press 1. We have a whole bunch of people already on the switchboard, one person with their hand up, and a few people in the chat room. David's with us. Tim's with us. Hello, Michael.
Awesome. Sounds like we've got the whole family. That's fabulous. And I have a young man named Michael sitting in front of me who we talked about yesterday. Would be coming on the show to chat with us about his experience of the work and what he's doing in the world with some of the people he's been working with. So welcome, David. Welcome, Tim. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing quite well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
Doing
and
very
David, are you
well.
with us?
Thank you once again for having the show and all of the support and the people that are involved. Nice to know that there are lots of people that are listening this early.
Yes, all things moving forward. And, of course, the invitation, as usual, is every day to invite everyone to be part of the team that ends war on planet Earth, that ends the insanity that goes on that damages so many lives. And, of course, the methodology that we're holding out for everyone to use in that regard is to simply take responsibility for their lives. And we want to honor those who have been forced into the insanity called war because there are people in the world who will take responsibility for their lives. Our thesis is that all war is a result of hostility and fear that is internal. And, of course, if we've got internal hostility and fear, we're going to find somebody to blame it on. And so our request is that you take one situation, one issue today where you have some form of hostility or fear that perhaps you're thinking belongs to somebody else or is caused by someone else. And we're going to invite you to be willing to actually give up the very capacity to experience that form of hostility or fear. When you do, what you'll find is that your true created state, your essence, love, has 1,000 times more powerful, 1,000 times more strength, and 1,000 times more ability than any kind of hostility or fear. And so the process for making that shift is the tool of forgiveness. Not the world's game of I'll forgive you because I have this pain or hostility or fear inside of me, but rather I'm realizing that this pain, hostility, or fear belongs or is in me, belongs to me, and that I'm the only one that can change it. And forgiveness is the tool for going inside, finding the root of it and removing it so that full power, full expression shows up and we function out of who we really are as humans. And if you ever doubt what a human life is, just hold a newborn child. You'll know exactly what it is. So that's our invitation. If you're not familiar with the conversation, we invite you to go to our website, whyagain.com. On the right-hand side, there's a link that says Download Worksheets. And the first 4 links under that section, actually it will soon be a total of 6 links on the starting point. The first 5 actually will give you the whole story on forgiveness and some things to do some forgiveness work around if you seem to be lacking in that. and I'm working on actually taking the newest worksheet and what we're going to do so that we can regain the space that we've lost by the additional ideas on the worksheet is we're going to create a supplemental worksheet to the one that we're using, which will simply remove the definitions and give more space to write, where, I've gotten the feedback from lots of folks that they really like having that extra space to write. So we'll be doing that, and, not necessary to reprint all the definitions on every worksheet that you do. And thanks to some folks, David and Tim up in Chicago with our last visit there, we're working on putting together a workbook that has 200 sheets in it for the starting point, and so there'll just be one that will have the definitions, and the rest will have the extra space for writing. So we're glad you're with us, and Jeanie, you have a caller, so why don't we just check in with our caller, and then we'll chat with Michael.
Okay, it's from Massachusetts, area code 413.
Hi, Michael. This is Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Hi. I just wanted to thank you very much for yesterday and for you giving me that powerful mind shifter that you gave me, and just for your insight, because what I wanted to tell you, but there wasn't quite time, was that yesterday morning I have this little routine I do, and in the morning I read my commitment to myself, and then I do one to my husband. He's not here. He leaves early in the morning, and I've read this to him once, person to person, but every day I read it to his picture because I heard some wonderful stories about people that had read this to their pictures of estranged members of their families. And even though we're not estranged, I really wanted to make this commitment because it's so beautiful. But so yesterday morning I read the first line. I said, I promise to trust you enough to tell you the truth. And I just want to remind you that your mind shift you gave me was about it's safe and healing for me, Linda, to tell the truth and be totally authentic in every situation of my life, especially when I feel like I've been dissed. So when I read that first line, this was before the call yesterday, early in the morning, I stopped at tell you the truth, and I said, oh my God, I didn't tell him the truth last night. Something came up the night before about a donation that I made to some charity in town, and he said, gee, I wish you had told me about it. It really wasn't that much, but, it'd be nice if you could tell me. And I said, well, this was a couple months before. I said, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to hear what you had to say, because sometimes I get criticism for giving money to people that in need, and even though it's not that much. But anyway, which isn't an excuse, but I could see really what the real thing was. I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to be triggered. Would have been, but I didn't. And so when I had that aha moment in the morning when I read it, I don't know what happened after that, but I totally forgot about it until yesterday when you gave me that mind shifter. So it's really interesting how these things are linking together, and I just appreciate the work so much. And Julie called me right after the call and encouraged me to just get busy right away with the mind shifter, and gave me some more instruction, and I got a ton of worksheets out of it that I'm going to do. I just got home from work, and I plan on doing them this afternoon, and so I just wanted to report that to you. Thank you.
Yeah, keep your breath open. And isn't that mind shifter an awesome tool? It's just amazing to cut right to the chase, isn't it?
Yes. So.
Very cool. Well, we're here. We hold the space, and we'll look forward to hearing from you on an ongoing basis. Blessings.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. So, Michael, how are you today?
I am well, thank you.
Awesome. We're delighted that you're here, that we're going to get to chat with you. You were introduced to the work, if I remember, last January?
Last January, when you guys were down here.
And I guess what I'd like to do is if you just share a little bit about where your life was at that point, what was going on for you, how things were moving forward, and then just a little bit of the story of your work. What we are thinking about doing is maybe creating one day a week where we kind of do sort of a documentary show on the impact that the work's having on people's lives. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what kind of shifts and changes, and then especially what you're doing in the world with the work is awesome when I hear it from you. So share a little with us if you would.
When I first came to the program, I was Not sure about it. I'm one of those guys that have to dig into all the facts and aspects of it before I can buy into it. My wife came to it, and she absolutely loved it, so she dragged me to it. I think the second meeting, I literally walked out on your speech and sat in my car, and you came out, and you and I had a long discussion. For those of you who don't know anything about me, which is probably all of you, I'm a 26-year combat vet. I came in at the age of 17. My life was combat before then. My father found out about the birth of me from a letter, and so I was a mistake to begin with. I was left with a 17-year-old mother who throughout her life abused me. I spent from the time I was 5 to about 10 in the public system of foster care. So that fight or flight instinct within me didn't really have a choice to be in the middle. It went all the way to the fight because that's the only choice I had at that time. Made me a perfect candidate for the military. I had retired in 2007. Upon my retirement, I started to have a problem with alcohol, severe problem, to the point where I was drinking 3/5 of whiskey a day. And, wow. Yeah, and hiding it. Ouch. Well, thinking I was hiding it is the key word. When I met Michael and Jeanie, I was probably 2 years into sobriety. And I had already been on the path of trying to work on myself and understand things. Michael's work really overlays in the program, the fellowship that I'm involved with. And I've used some of his work not only for myself, but for others. I do I volunteer a lot of detoxes, halfway houses, that kind of thing, and I work within the program as well. And one of the things that I do when I go into a room, especially when, unfortunately, in the detox houses, there's a lot of young people there. And words mean absolutely nothing until you make them yours. And one of the words the program really pushes is regret. And until you actually understand what regret is, it doesn't carry any significance within your soul. So what I do, and if you want to join with me, you can do it where you're sitting if you care to, is I would like you just for a moment, I'll count to 5, and then I would like you to close your eyes and I want you to picture in your own mind something that either you've done or it's been done to you that's caused you pain. It doesn't necessarily have to be physical pain. It could be emotional pain. Pain is pain. It doesn't really matter which way it is. So I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to be there. I want you to feel whatever it is that caused that emotional pain. Okay? Breathe. Now, how many of you during this time, while you're remembering that memory of pain, held your breath? Well, if just the thought of a regret, just the thought of some past event can physically manifest itself in you by stealing the very thing that causes you to live. Imagine what years upon years, regret upon regret that we have built within ourselves and pushed down and ignored, what that does to us every single day. It's by understanding these things is that we have the ability to decide to work on it. It's like a field. A while ago, I used to have a pretty big area of land. I had some horses, and, the dandelions or the buttercups would come up, and I'd go out there and I'd cut them down. The next day, they'd be right back up because I didn't treat the problem. Michael talked about forgiveness and the way society uses that. To me, I look at it different. This is how I put it out to the people that I try to work with. It's really easy to write the forgiveness checks when you have an emotionally bankrupt system. Unless you truly have the emotions, the love within yourself to issue that, then what you're doing is just causing yourself more pain. It's by understanding how these things happen to our lives and what part of it that we've created ourselves. Once we understand that, we have the bravado to go into ourselves. Nobody wants to see that. So many times in my life, I didn't want to see the man in the mirror. I put on roles. For the longest time in my life, I was a father, and I was a military man. I had no idea who I was, and I'm pretty sure that's what caused my spiral into the bottle. So over the years, I tried to work on this, and before I came to Michael, I tried to do everything, and I spent a period of time where I immersed myself into a church for a while. But to me, I just put a Band-Aid on top of a wound that I never checked. It never got to the bottom of the wound, so it still festered, and eventually the Band-Aid fell off, and the wound was worse. Michael's work helped me. Before I met Michael, I would go through these phases of anger which I could not control, and I am on medication for a lot of the things. I suffer from post-traumatic stress as well as some other things. And something happened in my life that I wasn't ready to face. I would face it tomorrow. And I found myself walking crack neighborhoods at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I walked them not for crack because I'd never touched this stuff in my life. It wasn't my thing. I walked them so that somebody would jump out and attack me, so that I could take the pain that I felt and place it on them, the instinctual way I did as a child. That's not a learned man. That's not working this program.
So your drug at that point was your rage.
It's my first drug of choice was anger.
That is the most popular drug on the planet. That's absolutely it.
Absolutely.
It is free, and it's definitely a tough one to break loose of because you can't just say, okay, I'm not going to the liquor store anymore. It's free, it's internal, and it definitely takes a committed. I like that word bravado. It takes some real bravado to stop using that one and discipline yourself to actually do it. So that's pretty interesting. I hadn't heard that part of your story before, but we're looking for someone to attack you so that you had a place to place that rage. So then you've probably done a few worksheets on rage.
I do worksheets almost every day. I can't do 2 of them because I journal mine. On the first level worksheets, the way my brain works is I'm a speed reader, and I would basically look at the first line of the worksheet, and before I could write anything down, I had already processed it in my head. By the way, not a good place to process. I don't recommend it. So I started to work on the. I went from the first level to the last level of worksheet. But again, I would just say, okay, this space would take about 15 words. I'll give you a 15-word answer, and I would move on and think that I was done. Again, if I don't get to the root of it, then I'm wasting my time. So I opened up a journal, and what I do is I take the worksheet that they provide, and I get quiet with myself first, and then I dig. And I've experienced worksheets that will last me an hour to 3 hours. I've experienced rage, tears, loss, confusion, emotional relief. The gambit of emotions that I have felt while working on these have been colorful, to say the very, very least. But it's the step afterwards. It's that night when I'm ready to go to sleep, that quiet time that used to haunt me, that used to be the worst time of my life. After I do these worksheets, that time is actually quiet. It's not filled with questions and answers and arguments and this person did this, I want this person to do that, how come they don't do this? I understand that the only thing that I can do is work on myself. The only thing I can do is have a place of love for everybody. And believe me, to start with myself, that was really hard because when I came to the worksheets, when I came to Michael and Jeanie and the universe put them in my life, I wasn't ready for that. I didn't want that. I wanted to hold on to it, and to let go of it frightens me.
Well, and, my input would be that, of course, to let go of it means you have to look at it, and your idea of putting a Band-Aid on it, that going out looking for the fight, the whole warrior game is, I have something in here, then this is my Band-Aid, this is my cover for it. And sadly, oftentimes people use church for that. They go for a feel-good experience, and it's a Band-Aid, and they'll do anything to control anything or anybody in their lives so they don't have to take the Band-Aid off and look underneath it. So I really acknowledge your courage for doing that. And one of the very common pieces of feedback that I get from a lot of people is that they're always living in the distraction. The radio has to be on, the television has to be on, there has to be a conversation, there has to be something, so they never get quiet enough to look inside themselves and have to deal with it. And when they start doing their work, just as you just said, that quiet time, it's like get rid of the noise. That quiet time is awesome to be with your own being. So that's just awesome. And the lives that you're touching in the detox centers and the AA program is just fabulous. I mean, I just acknowledge you for your courage to look in with the kind of history that you've got, and to then take it and open the space for others to take the next step in their process. Is just fabulous. Jeanie, do we have anything happening in the chat room that might add to the conversation, or questions for Michael or anybody on the phone? Pardon me. Our call-in number, is 646-200-4169. If you got a question for Michael, a question for me. You got the two Michaels today.
Everybody's just listening. There's a lot of people out on the switchboard today, and that's awesome. There's a few people in the chat room. It's being real quiet right now, too. Oh, a hand just went up.
Awesome.
Area code 517, you're on the air.
517, you're on the air. Is this Rex by chance?
Yes, and I forgot to unmute again.
I know how that goes. I do that too often myself.
Hi, everybody.
So. Hey, welcome.
Just a brief note. I am doing the workshop, Healing Through Relationships, on Saturday morning in East Lansing, and they can check your site to see it on your links. It's on there, and also check my site. But the main reason I want... Pardon me?
Give us your website so people can go jump on it.
It's www, obviously, stillpointbreathoflife.com.
Stillpointbreathoflife.com. Awesome.
Yep.
Saturday's workshop, Lansing, Michigan. If you're in that area, go do it. And as well, tonight we're going to be doing Naturopathic Keys to Health at Unity of Pompano. Tomorrow night is Course in Miracles. And on Saturday, we're sort of on the edge of whether or not we're going to be doing MindShifters and Still Point Breathing. So we'll keep you posted on that one. But if you're in the area, touch in. And then in January, we'll be in Fort Lauderdale the first week of January. Then over to the other coast into Tampa and back to Boca. We've got lots happening. So
wonderful. And there's tremendous energy is just happening, I think, for all of us. And it's I did also want to mention that I'm doing the 5 sheets a day, and that's been very powerful. I've gotten great response from that. And at times, because my schedule is very full, as I'm sure everyone's is, it's sometimes at 12 or even 1 o'clock in the morning I'm doing them to finish up from my previous day. So it's intriguing, but it's fun to be committed, and it's great to have a group of people that are doing such powerful work.
2 nights ago I finished about 2 in the morning with my last worksheet. So I know the feeling.
And also I wanted to acknowledge Michael, the gentleman that you have on the phone, for his courage and just the idea of what he has gone through as a person. And when you said that you were drinking 3/5 a day, I thought you said, and you're still here. I was like Michael. I just went, holy moly, my jaw just about hit the floor. And, quite often it puts things in perspective for me that we think we're having a difficult time in certain situations and moments. And it's all about perspective. And thank you for sharing and all the work that you're doing. I really appreciate it. And that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that as well.
You bet. It's a pleasure to know you.
3/5 a day is that's quite a hit. Of course, Michael, what are you, about 6'6"?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a pretty big guy and handles it probably better than us little people do. So there aren't too many
that
people
makes it okay then.
there aren't too many people I feel small standing beside, but I gotta look at Michael. So.
Well, God bless you. I'll get off here and let someone else get on the phone. So I'll be listening.
Okay, thanks, Rex. Blessings. Good luck with your workshop Saturday. Jeanie, any other comments in the chat room? Our call-in number, if you have a question for Michael, a question for me, 646-200-4169.
We did have another caller, and they hung up, so if you were the one waiting, please call right back.
Awesome. Well, Michael, what...
There they are, area code 336. You're on the air.
Hi, this is Paula Davis from Greensboro, Unity. And
hi, Paula. Welcome.
Hi. Yesterday, I think it was on the call yesterday, I think he's a medical doctor or something that had said he got 2 things for the price of one going through the worksheet, like linking up something as a child and being embarrassed in front of the little girl that he had a crush on, and then he's a doctor. Right. And you remember that? How I just wanted to share, I had the wildest kind of experience like that, just because I was upset with my 23-year-old son who's been traveling all over Europe, and he did something really risky. But, he was trying, he wanted to try something new, and he thought it wasn't as bad as it looked, but it was a lot worse. And then he recounted his story to me, and when I was reading the email, I just got, extremely upset. I cried most of the day, and then I went to our support group for the workshop or do worksheets that night, and so I started out with, why am I going so overboard? Why am I having this, what I'm saying, too big of a reaction? He's fine. He wrote me, the letter. What is really upsetting me? And so I started there, and it was I actually encourage him to explore and be a free spirit, because that's not the life I had. It's the one I want still. And he did it. And you know what? Mistakes are going to be made. Nobody's perfect. We do make mistakes. So I thought, right. And I said that to myself and started working through the sheet. There was this flash of a memory that I didn't remember. And I was 4 and a half, and my mom had just left my dad with 6 kids. And so I wanted to help because, wanted to fill in her shoes, I think, or whatever a 4-and-a-half-year-old would say. And right. So my dad said, well, let's all clean off the table. And so I went for the biggest bowl on the table. And back in the 50s, they didn't have plastic. Everything was glass. So right. I picked up the biggest bowl of food and dropped it halfway to the kitchen on a tile floor, and it shattered. The glass went everywhere, and spaghetti. And my dad yelled. And then, so 2 things came out of it. My dad yelled and screamed, so I became fearful of my dad and thought, okay, I'm just not going to try anything anymore unless I know 100% before I do it that it's going to work.
Wow.
You see, and then I was going, oh, my gosh, so this wasn't, the upset was my son is living the life that we'd like all our children to grow up and be encouraged to grow, as far and wide as you can, and not be so fearful and suppress your desires, your dreams inside. And I realized that's what I'd done. And then the second piece I got out of this, when my dad yelled, I thought, well, that's what I wanted to do to my son. I wanted to yell, but it wasn't because I was mad. It was that extreme fear. My first reaction was to get loud because I loved him so much, and I didn't want to lose him. And I could see, oh, my gosh, my dad really helped me. And I've been, afraid of him my entire life out of that incident. He's mean and not understanding, and, it was very complex. There's more pieces to it, but it was just interesting how I went from why was I being so upset about my son who was now safe to, before I got to the bottom of the sheet, it was really about me and my dad and that incident that I had not ever remembered, and it just showed up.
Yeah,
so I'm still working on it.
One of the things that you might want to do with those brain cells firing, with that in mind, you might want to go back and listen to some of the archives of the show where we did codependence work. We did about 16 days of it. And what you're describing there is the power person dynamic. Your son being off doing his own thing brings up your stress because you have goals that you hold for him. Your stress goes up. And remember, we've talked about the 3 behaviors. When there's no stress, you'll do what you did to get along with your power person. When stress starts to build, what carbon-based memory will advise you to do is whatever you did to resist and survive with your power person. And then when you become ultra-stressed, and it sounds like with your son being away, you're ultra-stressed, you do exactly what your power person did to you that you hated the most. That defines most people's whole lives. And in the Aramaic, they understood that so well that they actually had a word, or actually, a suffix that they would add to a word, and what that meant when they added that suffix. So let's say this yelling thing we'd take, if we had the Aramaic word for yell, we'd add uta, O-O-T-A to it, and that would mean that there was an unconscious reality in brain cells that was activated by the stress of the moment, and that yelling takes over your decision-making process, your perception, and ultimately guides your behavior. And that's kind of exactly what Michael was just talking about with the Band-Aid. I want to put these Band-Aids on it so that I don't have to deal with that and those power person dynamics. And as you become willing to peel the Band-Aids off, which I acknowledge your courage and tapping into that worksheet, that's just fabulous. That's going to change your whole life. Is your father still alive?
No, he's not.
Okay. Well, it will change your relationship with your father. One of the things that a lot of people don't recognize is that those energies that link them to a parent, and when a parent passes, the painful aspect of it can hold them back, hold them in darkness and out of the light. So you just opened a window for him to move to another level into his own process and the light. So that's pretty awesome. And also, as Tim shared yesterday, the one experience tapping into the next and into the next. If you look in a lot of the religious traditions, you'll notice that there are beads. Whether it's the rosary or, with the Middle East, they've got those traditions, most of them have beads. And the beads are a symbolic way. It communicates to the mind that you go down. You'll notice most beads, you'll count down the bead or the string, and that's one issue, link to the next, link to the next, link to the next, until the major stuff starts to pop. And it's another way to encourage your mind to go into those deeper levels and to touch the things that have been hidden that are uta in nature, that control perception and behavior. So that's just, awesome. You've opened another energy window on the planet for people to heal. That's so fabulous. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, blessings, and have a wondrous day, and keep us posted on your progress.
All right.
Jeanie? All right, blessings. Jeanie, anything in the chat room? Any other callers?
Nope.
Well, let me ask Michael another question then. Michael, how has the taking off of the Band-Aids and the working through the things that surfaced, how's that impacted your relationships, whether it's relationships with your children, you mentioned you were a father, your relationship with the lady that's in your life, your friends, the people you work with? What kind of impact has that had?
It's made a huge impact. With Pegs, my wife, I thought that some mornings I'll wake up, I'm just depressed, or some mornings I'll wake up and I'm just angry. I used to hide that from her. I would, until she would do something that I could put it onto her.
Until the projection occurred?
Exactly. But after reading, I think one of the people that called earlier mentioned the commitment.
Right.
We have it on our refrigerator and our stove, and we read it to each other quite often. I've actually learned to be brutally honest with her, but I would never have had the ability to do that if I didn't become able to be brutally honest with myself. I firmly believe I can't give what I don't have or do not understand. So when I was able to become doing these worksheets, this subject that I've had to do worksheets on over and over and over again. If you're new to the process, please don't think that just one worksheet and you don't get results. One worksheet and you don't get results is going to make it go away. Some of these things we have to dig, and there's another layer of soot, and then there's a bedrock, and then there's limestone, so we finally get to the vein of gold, and it's there. We are all golden. And when I was talking to people in the rooms, and I was telling them, just like Michael does about, picture a child. I tell them that no matter what they've done in their lives through addiction and other behaviors that come from addiction or from self-loathing, that is still their birthright. That still is obtainable, no matter what you've done in your life. And trust me, if you're listening, chances are I've done a lot worse than anybody there who has theirs on us right now. But that's still my birthright. I'm still that child. I still am that child, and this process helped me to realize that. And from that, I'm able to deal with my children. And my children are in college and going through phases. And like Michael talked about, whenever there's a problem, they revert back to their power person, and that power person, believe it or not, wasn't me. It was somebody else, and they act like that, and they pour that towards me. And I have a choice. I can get upset. I can be hurt. I can do 1,000 things. But what this program has allowed me to do is to see where that pain was really coming from and to realize that I had nothing to do with it. As long as I keep a space of love in my heart for them, that's all I can do. If they want to be upset, if they want to back away or separate, that's not my call. It's their lives. They have to learn. But the only thing I can do is I can have a place of love. And I have a place of love for those that are in my life close and even those who I'm strange to. And that makes it bearable for me.
I certainly hear that loud and clear, and that's a great point to make. It's your birthright. And sadly, in our culture, virtually everyone has been ripped off for their birthright. And what is the birthright? The birthright is to live your life as the active presence of love, to experience two parents who function as love in relationship with each other and with you, to have siblings who function as love, to have neighbors, to have friends, to have a community, to have a world that functions as love. That's our birthright. Now, clearly, virtually everybody's been ripped off. So what are you going to have to do? The world, because it doesn't know any better, probably isn't going to support you in having your birthright. That's what we're here to do, is to support you in reclaiming your human life and giving yourself your birthright. If somebody ripped you off for it when you were 2, when you were 3, when you were 5, when you were 7, 10, 12, 15, 18, whatever, if somebody ripped you off for that experience of yourself and them as the active presence of love, you can remove the reality related to that and reclaim your being. Again, not something the world is particularly going to be jumping up and down for you doing, but you can do that, and it doesn't matter what the circumstance is. And Michael, as for the being brutally honest, I might suggest that there might be a new level of that might be gently honest with yourself, that you give yourself your own birthright, that you treat yourself in a gentle manner when you're telling the truth about something, somewhere you've been, something you've done, something that's going on. And the same with your wife might just open another level of that birthright being embodied in your form. And, if you go to the ancient Eastern Orthodox teachings, the teachings were all about incarnating our human lives, that we actually incarnate as this awesome presence of love that we are. And, everybody on the planet, if you ever fall out of awareness of what a human life is, just go hold a newborn child. You'll be reminded very quickly. That's who we are. And fortunately, from a physics point of view, because certain frequencies can't interact with each other, it really doesn't matter. And you make the point well, Michael, it really doesn't matter what you've done. It really doesn't matter what was done to you. That which you've done, that which has been done to you on this so-called physical plane, on this level of energy, has no way to touch the being that you are. The resonant frequency of a human life, the awesome presence of love is always intact and is always yours. And so we join you and certainly bring forward that commitment. And Jeanie tells me we've got a couple of callers. So, Jeanie, let's welcome a caller.
Very good. We've got 2 calls from Oregon, and the first one, I believe, is Carolyn.
Hi there, Jeanie and Michael. It's Carolyn. You're right.
Well, hi there, young lady.
Michael, thank you so much for your wonderful support. And I was feeling, and I still am, very frightened this morning. So way before my regular time, I did a worksheet, and I'm still feeling like, well, you can hear the sadness in my voice, I'm sure, that can I remain in my loving and clear-headed and, centered when I'm with my daughter and her rage. And since I'm going to see her in about 10 days, that's what I'm frightened about.
Carolyn, probably not.
Yes.
It's going to bring stuff up. And there's why you want to be practiced up. You might want to pay it forward. We talked the other day about suggestion was do 5 worksheets a day, and awesome, you made a commitment. I've been enjoying getting your emails. I like that one this morning on those nice big letters. That you may want to pay yourself up a little bit and maybe boost it up to that 5 or more for the next 10 days at least while you're preparing to go there, so that you'll be as clean and clear as you can be. But the chances are, you started this process, your first call was about 3 weeks ago, that being in her presence with the kind of load that she's carrying, that her behavior is going to be, if she continues in that outrageous form, that her behavior is going to bring and resonate some of those things that you haven't dealt with yet. And I just support you in keeping worksheets at hand, keep in touch with your support community, stay on the show each day, and maybe introduce the tool to her and the idea of responsibility communication and starting to work through those things might be something to introduce. Now, be aware also that when you do that can bring another level of intensity up when people start to touch into those deeper layers and those deeper levels. So you want to walk carefully, but you might make your greeting card for her this Christmas that you deliver to her by hand when you go out there and visit with her in Palm Springs that I'm doing worksheets on because I'm not going to get to be in Palm Springs. You might want to make the commitment, your Christmas card to her, the commitment. Promise to trust you enough to tell you the truth and be true to you and treat you lovingly, gently, and with respect. Just go to the website, copy it. There are lots of programs online. You can make a Christmas card. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my question to you is, as she's raging, if she does, which is very likely, is it, if I'm going to be trustworthy and tell her the truth, is it okay for me to say, hey, I did the best I could, and I'm here for you, and I'd like you to speak in a easier voice and not be, saying inflammatory words? Previously, always, I've just sat there and listened to her.
Well,
and
that's one of the reasons.
And then I walk away, and as you said, someone said the other day, or you did, I jabbed myself with those words for months afterwards.
Right. Well, of course, you can do away with the habit of doing that with the worksheets, and that's one of the reasons why I'm suggesting that you start your visit out with her by personally, face-to-face, handing her a Christmas card that has the commitment on it.
Okay.
And tell her this is your commitment, this is the state you're going to work toward maintaining in your visit, and invite her that maybe she might do it too, and that together you might all just have an awesome holiday.
If I could add, I have a problem with my 2 daughters too, and they can really bring up some feelings with me when they say certain things that I know to be untrue. But for me, what really works and what didn't work, and I learned, was the I and the you. If I tell them you are saying something that's bothering me, you are saying this, that's a U-turn. I am going to go absolutely nowhere. But if I use the word I am feeling remorse, I am feeling sorrow, I am hurt by this, that's an inner state. That's got a chance to go somewhere. As soon as you tell somebody who has anger that you've done this, they have a blank check to just completely tear you up. But if you say the word I feel this, I'm experiencing this, it kind of takes some of that power from them, some of that rage from them, because they can't judge you and react to you because you have not threatened them in any manner. At least that's what I try to do with my children. Here's Michael.
Yeah, and you might want to jump on the archives. There is a show that we did on responsibility communication. There's also a DVD, a 2-hour DVD that you can order from the website on responsibility communication. And under the download worksheet section, there is a 7-step responsibility communication tool that's all focused on me owning what's mine and inviting support for the healing of it. And, that might shift the conversation greatly. And again, starting out with that commitment, first thing. Here's where I'm planning to go. This is what I'm committed to doing. At least I'm going to do my best at it this trip.
Okay. Well, thank you, Michael, for all your support. I really appreciate it.
Well, you absolutely have it.
And thank you, Julie, if you're on the phone. I so appreciate you.
Cool. Fabulous. All right. I don't know whether Julie's there. We haven't heard from Julie in a few shows. If she's there, she could, push 1 and say a quick hello. But, Jeanie, you've got another caller?
We do. This is area code 804. You're on the air.
804. Welcome to the show. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from? 804. Are you with us? I think we lost 804.
Okay, well, I think this other one is Julie, maybe.
Awesome.
Not sure. 541, well, there's 2 from Oregon, so 541-261. You're on the air.
Hi, that would be Julie.
Hey there,
Thank you,
young lady.
Carolyn. That was nice. It's so nice to do this work and to be of assistance to others. It's so what I love.
Isn't it awesome to be able to impact lives like that? And Carolyn now is going to go to a space where she's going to be impacting her daughter and her daughter's family with the same energy of reclaiming a human life. It's just awesome to watch how dominoes fall and how it happens and how it moves around the world. I know I've had times where I had somebody describe one time a book that started out, if I remember correctly, it was somewhere in Arkansas. It went through 2 or 3 different states, and then it went to the Middle East and went to 2 different countries in the Middle East, and then back up in their hands, I forget now exactly where, but somewhere like New Hampshire. And so, how it gets passed around and how people impact each other, and that's what's going to make the shift and the change on the planet when enough people will do their work that people look and go, wow, where'd this light come from you're carrying? I want some of that.
Exactly. I have been out of touch with the news and the radio and all that kind of stuff for a while, which is nice. And I came back to Ashland, and people are reporting to me that there's all these new laws and FEMA and detainment camps, and I'm not trying to spread fear, but fear is still prevalent. And even in this town, people are dealing with some big fear issues. And I go to these meetings, and I spread a confidence. It's like I actually have a confidence. It's not just a cover-up, that everything is going to be all right. It, because the way to get through it is the way that we're doing this work. And I get confirmation of that every time. For example, you have this young man, Michael, today. Hello, Michael, other Michael.
Hello.
And he's come from the military experience, and he's making such mature and responsible strides as a citizen, as a father, as a human being, designed the way he's meant to be. And, I know that for every one person in the military that is obligated to operate according to whatever law is in place, I know that there's another person who's been in the military that sees through it. And I'm pretty sure we all see through it. And so the next step is seeing our way through it. And I guess the confidence that I have is that since I know that what I'm doing is clearing the past, I know that it's not real. And I'm not just saying that as a cop-out. I'm saying that it's the residual thinking that we're dealing with. And we are creators, and we have to focus on what we're creating now with love. And so I so get that as an experience now and have the confidence in it because of the work I've done with you, your work, Michael, that you've brought to us. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, and you go back to the ancient teachings where it was said the eye is the lamp of the soul. What it says is, in Aramaic, is perception is the light for your earthly life. If your lights are out, if hostility and fear for you are your guideposts, if the light for you is darkness, then how deep will your darkness become? And the power of one person, nobody's ever invented a flash dark. You turn it on and all the light goes on. Nobody's ever invented a flash dark where you turn it on and all the light goes away.
Mm-hmm.
But there has been the invention of a flashlight. In order to carry out the insanity of hostility and fear, there can't be a light in the room because it operates under darkness. And what we're working to do is to get enough minds who function and bring light to everything, because everything that is insane operates under the cover of darkness. And so when enough minds bring the light forward, then perception becomes an awesome guidance system that tells us exactly what to do in every situation, exactly where to go, and exactly what we need. The thing to remember is that we have to totally, completely, 1,000% distrust and dismiss, forgive everything that our mind tells us that comes from fear or hostility. If fear or hostility is its accompaniment, it is a fraud, it is a lie. Please, folks, don't believe the lie. The way that the lie takes over lives is people believe it. When people function and are guided by any form of hostility or fear, they are working in darkness. Dispel your own darkness before you start speaking to somebody else about what they need to do and what's wrong with them, because it's all done with smoke and mirrors. It's all an inside job. And so, Julie, I acknowledge you for the way you've been moving through your own process and the people that you're impacting and touching. And, that Carolyn's on the call with us today and has been several times is fabulous in moving it on to her family. So we just joined in the light, in the human life that we have, this awesome presence of love and bringing it forward to the world.
Exactly, and thank you.
All right, thank you for your call.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Jeanie, any other callers? Anything in the chat room?
We do have another 541.
541, give us a name. Where are you calling from?
Oh, this is Julia, and
hey there, young lady.
I never heard what you said in response to what, but Julie says that it's on my computer and we'll get to listen to it or something, but she only had said to me that time, just saying there was one thing to ask about, and I never expected all of that to be coming back from that, like these long talks are, because it was something very personal and just a little tiny statement or even one word or something like that to ask. And Julie said, well, why don't you just call in and say that? And so I haven't even heard what you had to say, but I was upset that it was being broadcast on the air and I didn't even, in a sense, acknowledge it. So I just needed to say that.
Oh, okay. Well, we thank you for your call, and we love you, and we hold the space that you'll have awesome, wondrous holy days coming up.
Well, I mean, yes, and I look forward to Julie coming up here, and we can at least listen to what you had to say about it.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay. So, Michael, in terms of your year of working with these tools, for somebody who's just starting out with them, who's in the early stages, or maybe today's the first time they've heard of this thing called forgiveness that has to do with changing what's going on inside of them as opposed to letting other people off the hook. Do you have any particular input, something that, with you being in the work a year, that's fresh for you, that really was meaningful and open to space for you? I'd like to hear it, because I get reinforcement because of course I've been around doing this now for a little better than 4 decades, so having a fresh perspective on what's really impacted and made the bigger difference allows me or supports me in realizing the impact of that and being able to reinforce it as we move forward with the work.
One of the biggest things I think that's changed is I've known my wife since she was 8. We were childhood friends and kept in touch throughout the years. We went our own adult paths. I've been with her since 2007. I have not loved another human being at the level that I'm able to love her now. And that's not because she's a wonderful person. That's not because we've gotten comfortable in our relationship and we have a good life. It's because I've done the worksheets and I've allowed myself, the gift I've gotten from these worksheets is I'm allowed to see love for what it is. All my life I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. I kept waiting for the rug to be pulled out from me. And so I didn't even realize it. I was afraid to give completely. These worksheets have allowed me to break down those walls, the moat, the minefield, all those defenses I had against my heart, and I've broken them all down, and lo and behold, the relationship between me and Pegs has blossomed into something I would never have imagined. Greater than any. If I wrote down a year ago what my relationship would be with Pegs, and I sealed it in an envelope, and you opened it today, it would be worse than what it truly is. To be able to love freely, to be able to be a human being. And a lot of times when I do the worksheets, Michael, Peg sent me a picture of his child, and it seems to have these knowing eyes, and I'll have it on my phone screen. And I'll look at that when I get stuck. I'm writing, and like you've said before, this isn't feel-good work. This is work that takes some time. And when I'm stuck and I feel that resistance, resistance for me to feel let go of these things, I look at that picture, I take a breath. Oh, yeah, I stop breathing. I take a breath, and then I go back into the work. And from that, I've been able to become a person that was capable of loving at a level which we were supposed to, which feels natural, and it is a beautiful thing.
You know, if you go back into the ancient teachings, again, where they understood this whole game, it wasn't about religion, it was just about the process of life. And one of the things they talk about was in future times, there'd be a point where we lose our capacity for natural affection. And it sounds like you've regained your capacity for natural affection. Fear and hostility break down the natural affection between people. We join you in restoring that and creating the best year yet of your eternal life. And thank you for being on the show with us today. Bring a stranger tomorrow. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.